Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Curry's Studios Productions 2K4, and today, we're counting down the top 10 most notorious serial killers of all time. For this list, we're gonna see their villain actions through these years and face the serious consequences, so let's begin, shall we? Number 10, Deadliest Rader. Deadliest Rader, also known as BTK Killer, he killed 10 people throughout the city of Wichita from 1974 to 1991, including a family member of 2 children. He was a former U.S. Air Force back in 1966. He used the plastic bags and wires to strangle and suffocate to kill 10 people. He also stole people's underwear, driver licenses and personal items from a female victim. He was arrested in 2005, and sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences of first-degree murder. He is now imprisoned in El Dorado Correctional Facility, and here are the victims of the BTK Killer. Number 9, Israel Keyes. Israel Keyes, he murdered at least 3 people and committed dozens of other crimes across the United States from the late 1990s to February 2012. He was a former U.S. Army back in 1998. He kidnapped, raped, and murdered at least 3 young women and girls between the age of 12 and 18, the youngest only just 7 years old daughter of a 2007 Poco killer case. He also convicted arson by burning down the trailer home in 1997. He was wanted by the FBI in 2012. The FBI claimed that Keyes had murdered at least 11 people. He was between Ted Bundy and Deadliest Rader. He died soon after he committed suicide while he was in Anchorage Correctional Complex. Number 8, Ray Rector. Ray Rector was executed via lethal injection in 1992 for murdering a police officer, Bob Martin. On March 21, 1981, Rector and some friends drove to a dance hall at Tommy's old-fashioned home-style restaurant in Conway. When one friend who could not pay the $3 cover charge was refused entry, Rector became incensed and pulled a .38 caliber pistol from his waistband. He fired several shots, killing 33-year-old Arthur D. Criswell, who died almost instantly after being struck in the throat and forehead, also wounding 52-year-old William Hervey and his 23-year-old son Charles. During a surrender, he attempted to suicide but it's failed. He succeeded full recovery. Sentenced to death for first-degree murder. Here is the final meal where Rector ate before his execution: steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and pecan pie. However, he didn't eat the pecan pie. He said that save it for later. At the end, he didn't take a bite with it. Number 7, H.H. Holmes. H.H. Holmes was the first serial killer in the U.S. history. In 1886, he moved to Chicago and built a torture chamber in his hotel room known as the Castle. The yellow press labeled the building as Holmes's murder castle, claiming the structure contained secret torture chambers, trapdoors, gas chambers and a basement crematorium. None of these sensationalized claims were true. He murdered and tortured at least 13 people. Here's the victim list. He was sentenced to death via hanging in 1896. His final meal was simple: boiled eggs, toast, and coffee. I hope this can be the breakfast of my choice. Number 6, Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as Milwaukee Cannibal or Milwaukee Monster, he was a sex offender for sexually assault and murdered at least 17 teenage boys by dismembering their bodies as cannibal acts. He was possibly a rapper turned Yonder Gal 12 wannabe for dismember and cannibal actions. He was arrested in 1991. He was died by beaten and stabbed at Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin by a fellow inmate, Christopher Scarver. And here are the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer. Number 5, Robert Alton Harris. Robert Alton Harris had murdered 2 teenage boys in San Diego. In May or June 1978, Robert, then age 25, asked his brother Daniel, 18, for help in planning a bank robbery. On July 2, Daniel stole 2 guns from a neighbor's house in Visalia, California, and the 2 drove to San Diego that night. They spent the next 2 days purchasing ammunition and practicing the robbery in a rural area near Miramar Lake. On July 5, he murdered two 16-year-old boys in a supermarket parking lot in Mira Mesa. On March 6, 1979, he convicted of 2 first-degree murder and put him to death in 1992 via gas chamber. His final meal requested 2 Domino's pizzas, a bag of jelly beans, 6 packs of Pepsis ice cream, 21 KFC chickens and a Camel cigarette packet. His last words were, "You can be a king or a street sweeper, but everyone dances with the Grim Reaper." Number 4, William Bonin. William Bonin, also known as the Freeway Killer, he raped, tortured, and murdered at least 21 young men and boys. He was also a pedophile since he did some sexual activities with a 12-year-old boy in his car on the highway, and murdered after that. He did this since he wants to earn $20. On January 12, he threatened an 18-year-old Jesus Monge. He was a Caleb Roblox Animations wannabe since he threatened Monge to chop off his private part off if he wasn't cool. Not only that, Bonin confessed to being molested at age 8, and suspected he was molested on various occasions between 9 and 12 years old. Soon, he was arrested for rape, first-degree murder and child sexual abuse, sentenced to death via lethal injection. His final meal requested 2 pizzas, 3 pints of ice cream, and 3 six-packs of Coca-Cola. And here are the victims of William Bonin. Number 3, John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. He dressed as a clown for a children fund in hospital. However, in between 1972 and 1978, he raped, tortured, and murdered at least 33 young men and boys in Norwood Park Township, near Chicago, Illinois. He was formerly a KFC employee. Inside Gacy's home, his usual modus operandi was to ply youth with drink, drugs, or generally gain his trust. He would then produce a pair of handcuffs to show a magic trick, sometimes as part of a clowning routine, then rape and torture them and finally kill them with a rope and hide his corpse in his basement, just like Harry Strack's video. Finally, he was sentenced to death via lethal injection in 1994. For his final meal, he requested a pound of strawberries, a bucket of KFC chicken, French fries and fried shrimp. And here are the victims of John Wayne Gacy, and his last words contains profanity, thus, I won't say it from now on. Number 2, Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is one of the most well-known serial killers in history. He kidnapped, raped, and murdered at least 30 young women and girls. The youngest was at the age of 12, and most of them are college students. He was sentenced to death in 1989 by the electric chair. Although he declined the last meal, he was given a traditional final meal of toast with jelly, hash browns, over easy eggs and steak, washed down with milk and orange juice afterwards. And here are the victims of Ted Bundy. Before we're going to the number 1 spot, let's take a look of my channel analytic. As you can see, we have over 80% of viewers are not subscribed to my channel. What are you waiting for? Scroll down the like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell if you don't want to miss the upcoming contents in the future. Leave a comment down below since viewers might be you. And now let's move on to the number 1 spot, shall we? Number 1, Albert Fish. Albert Fish, also known as the Gray Man, the Moon Maniac, and the Boogeyman. He is one of the most deadliest serial killers in history. He convicted of murder and cannibalism of about 100 young toddlers and children. Most of them are African American and less than 6 years old boys. He was a Rakuten, Paper Luigi 99, Chester Cartoons Inc., Rapper Tom the V Undergal 12 and Harry Strack the Go animator wannabe since he murdered so many children. That's considered as child murder and abuse. The most famous was murdered a 10-year-old girl named Grace Budd after she had a party. Soon, he murdered and cannibal an 11-year-old boy since he had the fattest meat than the other. He chopped off the meat and dismembered his legs and organs. Then he roasted in an oven. That's the same scene where Dora was put in an oven of her 5th Punishment Day video by Harry Strack. After that, he sent his roasted human flesh to China since there were a lot of famines who didn't have any food sources and money to afford it. Meat of any kind was from $1 to $3 a pound. So great was the suffering among the very poor that all children under 12 were sold for food in order to keep others from starving. A boy or girl under 14 was not safe in the street. You could go in any shop and ask for steak and chops or stew meat. Part of the naked body of a boy or girl would be brought out and just what you wanted cut from it. A boy or girl's behind, which is the sweetest part of the body and sold as veal cutlet, brought the highest price. Finally, in 1934, he was captured and sentenced to death in 1936 by an electric chair in New York. Here is the victim of the infamous Gray Spud. Albert Fish's final meal. He requests a whole roast chicken, the best main course during Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's the end of the video. If you have many further questions, just ask me on a comment tab. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in the future.